views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Let me be your lighthouse so I can show you the way. Let me be your shining light, I'll keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try when...
This is Patty Hunter of Patty's Page, welcoming Mr. Mark Archer of the duo Archer, Mark and Amber Archer. He's by himself this time. He is an author and filmmaker of Fearless Features. Now,
Hello.
I've seen all of your documentaries, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
And right now, you're working on a book. It's called Compromised, Prodigal Journeys Home. What is that about, dear?
Well, Compromised is basically an autobiography or a memoir.
Of you?
Yeah, my crazy life. People have, as Amber and I have started doing these documentary films, and they've asked many times, you know, how did you two meet? How did we get into doing the films that we do?
Yeah.
And
Sounds like a long journey, kid.
It's been quite a journey. So, and I love to write, and I love to I love to recount the crazy experiences that I've had in the film and television industry. So it's my life starting off, you know, as a young child and coming to the Lord, and then how I learned filmmaking and television production, how I came up in the church, learning all of that, and then when I started to outgrow kind of creatively what I could learn in the church environment.
Right.
Add to that, I was late in my teens and some rebellion, and I didn't just walk away from the church. I pretty much ran, and I talk about a lot of the contributing factors to that. There was the guy who was the youth pastor at my church that I didn't really like because I didn't fit in to the youth group. I talk about that and how I was one of those kids that the youth group didn't work for. And because I wasn't really into sports and I wasn't a musician, and that's kind of what it was all geared around. And so I didn't interact very much with the youth group, but I interacted enough that when I aged out and I was still trying to kind of figure myself out, you know, make my way in the world. I was 19 or maybe 20. I think I was 19. And the youth pastor was caught having an affair.
Okay.
And it affected me in all the wrong ways. It affected a lot of people, I found out over the years. And but for me, it was...
You rebelled, right?
Yeah, it was just the push that I needed. I said, see, they're all hypocrites. I'm out of here. And so I didn't want to have anything to do with the church anymore. And so that's kind of where my first descent on my compromised journey started. And as I've grown older and I've grown close to the Lord again, and I've studied the story of the prodigal son, and I realized that really was me. It wasn't so much that way with me and my parents as it was with me and the Lord. And my parents, they just the heartache that they had for me watching what I was going through, and praying desperately for me, but there was a lot of things that they just didn't know how to help me with. They didn't know how to advise me because I was after a career that was very strange at the time. I mean, it still is, but this was before YouTube and the internet. So you to pursue filmmaking, growing up in a place like Fort Wayne, Indiana, was kind of like telling people you wanted to be an astronaut and land on the moon. Uh, so that's where the story starts. I talk through my early production stories, how I got into doing movies and doing my first movie,
Right. You did a
which
documentary on that?
no,
You should. Kiddo,
no.
make a good story, kid.
So my first movie came about because of the people I met doing my first short film, which was a public service announcement for a group called Stop the Madness.
Stop the madness.
Yeah.
How long was that, dear? I mean,
Well, so that was Stop the Madness. That was with Reverend Ternay Jordan,
mhm.
and that was back in '95. And then the people that I met doing that, and I learned the process of filmmaking doing this public service announcement to help that organization. And the people that I met doing that production invited me to come to a production meeting and meet a guy named Neil LaBute. And Neil lived in Fort Wayne and he had a script and some money. He was living just really across the road from me, and he had written this screenplay called In the Company of Men.
Oh,
And so I got roped into that, and that became my first feature film. It was a low budget independent film.
mhm.
We produced the whole thing for $25,000, shot it in 11 days,
Wow.
and then we cut it together and sent it off to the Sundance Film Festival, and then we got in. And so the 1997 Sundance Film Festival, a bunch of nobodies from flyover country in Fort Wayne, went to the Sundance Film Festival, and not only did we get in, there were 3,000 people that tried to get in, and ours was one of 16 films that they took.
Wow.
And we got in and we won. There were
More power to you, kid.
yeah, three big trophies that they gave away, and we won one of them as the filmmakers trophy.
So when did you meet Amber?
So Amber, I met many years later. Actually, it was 10 years after that Amber and I met.
So you were filming before you met her, a lot
Yeah,
of documentaries and all.
yeah. A lot of documentaries. In the Company of Men was a theatrical film, but was not a God honoring film at all. It was
Oh.
very dark, rated R movie, and I talk about that and the compromises that I made, convincing myself that that was okay.
Is that the book's name? Compromise. Is it
Yes,
finished yet? Is it?
it is finished. Yeah, we're actually in pre-sales right now, so people can pre-order it. Ships out in early November.
Mhm.
So you can order
November
it.
ships November 20th, 20.
Yes. Yep.
Ah,
So fearlessfeatures.org/compromised. And it also helps us to fund our next documentary film, which is called Principalities.
I'd like to know. That sounds like a heavy documentary.
It is, yeah.
And the book
Uh,
itself is heavy too.
yeah. Well, the book is heavy. It brings you up to current time where I meet Amber, and then we have our struggles, not marital struggles, but I was still struggling with a lot of the baggage that I was carrying.
Um,
And I actually quit filmmaking for 3 years
mhm.
right after Amber and I got married.
Ah,
I was just over it. I was tired of Mark, and so I quit and I went back to school. I finished my engineering degree, and then I couldn't get a job anywhere. So I ended up, the Lord called me back into
Shifted you
filmmaking.
back on the right
Yeah,
track.
yeah. And so we started shooting some short biofilms for a client. And then we thought, gosh, if we did this without all of the constraints of the corporate structure, we could tell people stories of how they came to Christ.
That's
So
right.
we did a couple of those, and we put them out on social media, and they just exploded. And
Exploded me, which means a lot of people.
a lot of people watched them, yeah. And so Amber and I were talking one morning over coffee, and she said, you know, I feel like we're supposed to be making movies. And I said, yeah, I think you're right. Now remember, I had sworn this off. I had not done a feature length film of any kind in over a decade.
Mm.
I had just walked away from all of it and was trying to do something else. I swore I would never go back to that. But when I said that, I told the Lord, I said, I'm never going back to that unless it's for you. If it's for you, then I'll go. But you're going to have to make it obvious. And he did. He made it obvious. And so we started what is now called Fearless Features. So the first film that we did under Fearless was called Inwood Drive, which was about
Inwood Drive.
the,
Yes, I
the
saw
demise
that.
the demise of George Klopfer. And then we did one called The Mind Polluters, which the Inwood Drive and The Mind Polluters you can actually watch on Amazon.
Right.
And
Inwood Drive is about abortionists that had passed on
yeah,
what he had done.
yep, yep.
And the second
Uh,
one,
the Mind Polluters is about the indoctrination of our kids through the education system, comprehensive
oh,
sex ed, social emotional learning, things like that. That kind of started this series of education focused films after the Mind Polluters. The Mind Polluters got us canceled quite a bit.
oh,
We had the Washington Post and the Omaha Herald came after us and got us deplatformed from
mm-mm.
Vimeo. We were we were banned from Amazon for 3 years.
You were telling the truth and they didn't, it scared them.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then after the election, after the November election, suddenly things started opening up and we found ourselves back on, we got through on Amazon.
Mhm.
Um, our, we have two other films following the Mind Polluters that are in the pipeline for Amazon. We don't have any answers yet, but one is called Dysphoria,
Dysphoria, yeah.
which is about the transgender movement.
Oh, it's sad. So
And
sad.
yeah, and then the follow-up to Dysphoria is called Title IX, which is also about the transgender movement, more from the legal standpoint.
Oh,
But you know, with what we've been watching happening lately, with what happened to Charlie Kirk,
mhm.
and just the focus now on the violence of groups like Black Lives Matter and Antifa. And if you go back and watch Dysphoria, and
Mhm.
you can watch Dysphoria on our website. If you go to fearlessfeatures.org, you can watch Dysphoria and Title IX. You can watch all of our films there. Um, if you watch Dysphoria, it explains exactly what's going on. If you want to know why Antifa, the influence of Antifa and leftist communist organizations
Mhm.
had the effect that they did in ending Charlie Kirk's life, go and
Yeah.
watch
Oh,
Dysphoria. Dysphoria explains it all. It's about the influx of communism into our society. The heart of what
creeping
Dysphoria
in,
shows. Yeah, creeping in
creeping in.
over decades.
And people don't see that.
You know, we stopped teaching about things like socialism and communism in
Right.
schools. Even the private Christian schools, by and large, don't teach these things anymore. To understand all this, you have to see that things like Antifa, Black Lives Matter,
Mhm.
ideologies like social justice, and these are all basically, think of them as denominations of
Satan.
communism. Yeah, of communism, atheism, because communism is an atheist governmental system. And in communism, the state, the government is God. And so they cannot tolerate it. Antifa is a communist ideology. They were formed during Nazi Germany as to supposedly oppose the fascists. That's what Antifa is. It's anti-fascist.
Ah, anti-fascist, yeah.
But anti-fascists are communists. And we show this in Dysphoria. We show the pictures and everything and where this has all come from and how their tactics have all been laid out through the years. If you read
Mm,
things like the Communist Manifesto, you read the Communist Goals for America, this is all what you're seeing manifested now in our society because we've let this creep in and
that there is.
we've stopped teaching people what it is so they don't even recognize it.
Principalities.
Yeah.
The documentary is in production. When will that be finished?
So
You know?
principalities were in what's called pre-production, so we haven't started shooting yet. What Principalities is it's about spiritual warfare. So
Definitely.
so if you have seen The Mind Polluters, and then if you watch Dysphoria and Title IX, Principalities is the capstone to all of those.
Ah,
So it shows you the higher up level of really what's happening, spiritual warfare, and explaining to people what it is that they're seeing and how spiritual warfare manifests itself. And it's not um, somebody once famously said that the greatest deception Satan ever pulled on the human race was convincing the world that he doesn't exist. And so Principalities is aimed at we make our films for the church, for believers,
right.
and for people that are maybe on the fence. It's designed they're designed to make you think and to challenge, and we don't put out theories. We show what's really happening and we
The
connect the
truth.
dots to people.
And people are afraid of the truth because they live in the darkness and we're the
Mhm.
light, and they're afraid of light, so they try to push you away. That's what you did to Charlie
That's right.
Kirk.
That's right. What people are afraid of, they're afraid of the truth also because if they know the truth, then they have to do something about it.
They're accountable.
Yeah, now that you're pointing out their accountability, and that's what we have found in the years of doing these films is the greatest resistance. And I'll tell you, it's not, the unchurched crowd you expect that from. What's
That's right.
shocking is the resistance you get from the pulpits
Yes,
and church leaders in general,
you
elder
gotta wake
boards.
up the pastors, the rabbis, the
Yeah,
priests.
yeah, they don't want to talk about it because I was just having this conversation earlier this morning in a meeting and said that what we are in right now is the fruits of back in the 70s and 80s. I
Mm.
really grew up in the 80s, and it was what was known as the seeker sensitive movement, which changed the culture of churches from one of reverent worship and preaching the word to let's build a coffee shop and let's spend our money remodeling the sanctuary to make it more appealing to people to come in, and
I
let's
mean, have
water down
fun,
the message.
water it down, not even
Yeah.
mentioning Jesus.
Yep, take down the crosses, things like that. And so
That's not right.
some of the denominations have become complicit in it. And, you think of your progressive liberal denominations like the United Methodists and things like that have gone along with having gay clergy and women pastors and things like that. They've
Yeah, they're just
abandoned
lost.
they've abandoned the truth.
Yes.
But a lot of the more mainline evangelical churches too, what we have seen is they are afraid. They're afraid to talk about these things because
They don't want to offend anybody.
They don't want to offend people because they want people to keep tithing. So
And that's not the reason why church is there.
no, the Lord the Lord did not establish the church to be a business. He established the church to be his body.
That's right.
And his body is not to be addicted to the finances.
So this, what do you call it? Principalities.
Yeah.
How are you raising money for your book? You're going to be selling pre-sale?
Yep, we've got pre-sales going right now. You can pre-order the book at fearlessfeatures.org/compromised. And you can pre-order the book that helps fund Principalities, which is our next film.
So there is no real set money for donating for your Principality documentary.
Well, we have a working budget that we're working with. We set a goal to raise $50,000 before the end of the year. That's not the whole budget, but that's a good portion
It's a good start.
Yeah, it's a good start. So people can, we're a 501c3 nonprofit. People can donate to help our films. They can order the book, and that's how they can help us. And or you can go on.
Part of the filming depends on how much donations they give.
Yeah, you can have your name in the credits as well.
So this is the end of the story for this show here. My friend, I'd like to have you back on my show because this is so interesting and the truth has to be sent out there, kiddo.
That's right.
Thank you, sir.
Be strong and courageous.
Peace out, baby. Dang it. Okay, this is Patty Hunter, Patty's Page, thanking Mark Archer, who is also a warrior. So we'll see you next week, and may God bless you.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist to connect the dots here and see where this is going. They are going to intrude in families. It's going to get much worse. It has already started. Unless and until people put their foot down, it's going to get really, really ugly.
When you first research this issue, the only things that come up are affirm your child. This is a really significant issue that your child has now fallen into.
This is evil. This is absolute evil that is coming at our kids. And if our faith community is not going to stand between that evil and our children, I don't know what hope we have.
There's absolutely no way that we could have gotten from 2015 to 2018 where we had transgender everywhere, okay? It took them almost 15 years to get gay marriage. Well, it took them 3 to 5 years to get this transgender stuff.
When you stand by and do nothing, then you are essentially saying, I'm okay with the human carnage and the human suffering that is coming from this transgender, gender ideological agenda.
This is something that is affecting families in possibly every congregation in America.
The way that the devil and his forces lose this is by speaking truth.
God will not hold us guiltless for our cowardice, and that's what it is. It's cowardice in the pulpit. It's cowardice in our churches. It's cowardice from Christians in government.
Do what you're doing for the generations to come. Do your job.
Breaking news, over 2,000 fetal remains discovered in unincorporated Will County. This is disturbing on so many levels.
This one patient that had an abortion, young girl, she shows up in the emergency room. That's where I said, this is enough.
When are you pro-life people going to do something about this abortionist? He's butchering women. Dr. Cly, we've been waiting for you to call.
It is dangerous, and I told my patients, your life and your health will be at risk.
The word abortion is out there.
As a doctor, I want to protect the patient.
You are contemplating an ordinance that seeks to address a problem that does not exist.
It was an extraordinary shock that someone would discard remains of children.
They found fetal remains in the trunk of a vehicle.
Any idea if someone helped him store these fetuses?
We may never know why this was done.
Do you believe what you've done is right?
Have you asked for forgiveness for killing children?
It's not a life.
Watch Inwood Drive, now available on Prime Video.
Sexual predators and comprehensive sex education both break down inhibitions. That's what they start with. They also gain trust with the child and then slowly start to get them towards sexual activity.
Anything goes. You are teaching children adult child sex, you're teaching transgender issues, and children are moldable and influenced by that.
They said, okay, now we need you and your team to be able to explain what homosexuality is to a 4-year-old student.
To introduce this kind of material at that age, frankly, it's child abuse.
You're going to teach our children that it's okay for any two children of any age, of any sex, to have sexual intercourse with each other as long as two components are present. One's using a condom and they both give consent. Did I hear that correctly?
It's not a neutral venue. There's no such thing. Okay, the schools are doing your job. They are discipling your children, but they're not discipling them in the faith of Jesus Christ.
It's only the exceptional child that even survives that system. Most do not survive, most have not survived.
They believe that children are sexual from birth and that they deserve and have the right to be sexually active and to seek sexual pleasure. And if anyone is stopping them from that, then you are judging and oppressing them.
Even kindergarten now, they're wanting to teach them more and more perverse information and acts and put that into the children's minds. And once that poison is in a child's mind, it doesn't leave. They'll always remember what they learned. And it's by design, it's orchestrated.
In my humble opinion, it will be worse before it gets better.
Watch The Mind Polluters, now available on Prime Video.
This may sound really shocking, but it's not really surprising considering that international research repeatedly portrays that 0.5 up to even 3% of our male population has some form of pedophilic interest.
What they'll do is they'll pick this identity group, and their goal is to turn this identity group into a victim status where they can claim rights at law.
We must fight discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity, and we must prosecute those who target victims for violence because of who they are or whom they love.
The Biden administration is amending Title IX to expand protections to LGBTQ students in schools that receive federal funding.
What's happening in the public schools now is a deliberate attempt to convince our children that they may be transgenders. It's being portrayed as cool.
Used to be fashionable by being gay. Now you're fashionable by being trans, and everybody celebrates you. Well, you want to be celebrated.
We are in a battle right now that is far beyond Democrat and Republican. We are talking now in the realm of good versus evil.
Godspeed, my love, until we meet again. You're always in my heart and every dream. Don't let this time apart give in to all our fears. God will keep us close from up above.